Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am creating this cute and colourful shaker card today using some Mama Elephant stamps and a stencil and die set from Heffy Doodle. So the products I use today are this is the Heffy Doodle Wave to Me stencil. I absolutely love this one, it's really, really pretty. I used the Mama Elephant Wishes Enclosed stamp set, and I do have the coordinating die for that one. The Mama Elephant Up With Love stamp set, so cute this one. And the Heffy Doodle Birthday Trio Frames dies. This is the A2 sized. I also used the Lawn Fawn Puffy Cloud Frames dies. So to start with, I cut a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock. It measures 5.5 by 4.25, or just slightly smaller than that. And I'm going in with my Broken China Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just putting a light coverage all over with this colour. I'm not too worried about it being perfectly blended. I'm going in quite patchy. This is going to be the sky, so I want it to look a bit kind of like it's got a few clouds in it. Then I'm taking this stencil, which is absolutely, it would be amazing for underwater scenes, but I'm using it for the sky today. I thought it might work for the sky, and I think it does. And I'm just using my blender tool to kind of go through the stencil, trying not to move it too much. I probably should start kind of taping my stencil down, because these really fine stencils, they do wriggle around a little bit, and it's kind of hard to keep them in place when you're blending through them. The trick, I guess, is to kind of move in one direction rather than going in circles or anything like that. And kind of moving with the lines of the stencil as well, if that makes sense. So rather than going up and down, I'm going across on this one because the lines sort of go across on it. So I did get there in the end, and I was quite happy with how it turned out. I'm going to reveal here, lift the stencil up, and I think that looks really, really pretty. Obviously, this would be, as I say, amazing as water, but I'm using it in the sky, so I really like how it turned out. So I'm just spraying a little bit of water on my hand and picking it up with a paintbrush. I prefer doing this rather than spraying directly onto my cardstock panel, just because I generally make a bit of a mess if I spray directly onto it. So I'm just tapping it on with my paintbrush, and then I'm going to lift up those droplets with my paper towel, and then I'm going to set that aside to dry. So off camera, I went ahead and stamped my images with Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink on Toots and Transotype Perfect Colouring paper. I also stamped out my sentiment, and I used Lawn Fawn Grape Jelly ink. And really, really like this colour. It's really, really pretty. I'm using YG45 and YG41 for my first balloon. And I'm going to go with quite kind of rainbow colours today, because I wanted to make my frame a rainbow frame. So as always, laying in my darkest colour, going in with my lightest, and then blending out again. I did it twice. And just using 2 colours for these balloons, because I think I don't need any more than that. You could certainly add more if you wanted to, but I thought that was enough. For my pink balloon, this is going to be a nice bright pink balloon. I'm using RV25 and RV23. And I tried to match my colours today to the shaker elements that I'm going to be using. So I'm using some shaker elements from Lucy's Little Things, and it's kind of like a rainbow star mix that I've got. So I tried to kind of pick out colours from that to use in my colouring. And obviously my fox is going to be orange, my little chick is going to be yellow. So I wanted, and my sentiment is kind of purple, so I wanted a kind of reddish pink balloon and a green balloon to kind of create that rainbow. So that was the inspiration for the colouring today. For my little chickie guy, he's so cute, I'm using Y15, Y13 and Y11. Going in very sparingly with the Y15. I don't want too much dark in there. I want it to be quite light and bright. So just using that Y15 quite sparingly. And just laying in my shadows, again, as always, blending out with my mid-tone and then my lightest marker, and then giving it a couple of coats just to make sure it's all nice and even. And Yeah, these were really quick to colour, but they're so gorgeous. I love all the images in the stamp set. I wasn't sure what I was going to do today. I was just kind of flicking through the stamps that I had, and I decided to pull these guys out because I haven't used them for a while and I really, really love them. So for the beak and feet of my beak and feet, is that what you have? Flippers? I don't know, what are they called? Beak and feet, we'll go with that. I'm using E95 and E97, and that's the same colours that I'm going to use on my fox, except I'm adding an E99 for my fox as well, just to add a little bit of a darker shade for the shadow. And I'm just kind of laying in, again, just a fairly small amount of that darkest colour. I don't want it to get too dark, and then blending out towards my lightest. And I've used this guy before. I'm not sure if I've used the little chick before on a card, but I've definitely used this little fox. I think he's so gorgeous. Really, really love him. He's a little bit different in that the whole top of his head is kind of like, not removed, obviously, but he's got a line kind of going across the whole top of his head. So I think I decided to colour that lighter. I mean, most kind of fox images I've seen, they kind of have just a bit of white on the face, but this kind of the whole face is kind of a white, or meant to be the lighter colour. So it's a little bit different, but I still really, really like it, and I think it's very, very cute. I did colour his ears, the top of his ears, in the darker colour. And then for my lighter oranges, I'm using E00 and E000. These kind of just add a bit of an orange, a hint of orange without being too overpowering, or at least that's what I think anyway. You could, of course, go in with kind of like a very pale grey, but I just kind of like the way that this looks, kind of keeping it tonal, all the same tones. So that was what I decided to do. And then I did bring in my 0 marker just to blend out the kind of colour so it's not so stark. You don't get a big stark line where the colour finishes. Then I went in with my R20 marker and just added a little cheek to both of my little critters. And then off camera I went ahead, then I used my white jelly roll pen to add some highlight detail. I do this all the time and I always forget to mention it when I'm doing my voiceover. I don't know why, but I did add some little highlight details with that jelly roll pen. And I just like the way this looks. And I realised that I hadn't actually coloured in my little fox's ear. I'm just looking at that now, and I still haven't done that. So I'm going to need to go back to my card and finish that off. Isn't that funny? I just completely forgot about the inside of his ear. But I will do that. So off camera, I went ahead and fussy cut my little critters out. I die cut the sentiment using the die that comes with it doesn't come with the stamp set, but it comes separately to the stamp set. And I cut the frame. I used some Fawn Really Rainbow paper for my frame. I cut a piece of acetate that measures 5.5 by 4.25. I was going to stick that on with some liquid glue, decided against it, and I'm using my tape runner. And guys, I don't know what was going on today. I was getting in such a sticky mess with everything, like every adhesive I was using today. It was just going all over the place. But it's okay. It all worked out in the end. So I stuck my acetate down onto my my little kind of rainbow panel, and that's ready to go. Then I took some of these Heffy Doodle foam strips, which are 5.5 inches long, so they're perfect for the back of a card. And I'm just using them to go around all of the kind of frame pieces. So I'm obviously having to trim some of them down and fit them in, but I'm just trying to make sure that there's no gaps so that when I fill this with my shaker pieces, they can't fall out everywhere. So just making sure that's all down and nice and secure. So once I get all of the foam tape on, which does take a little bit of doing, I then kind of get my powder tool out to try and reduce any stickiness or static anywhere on my acetate piece and also on my background panel, because obviously that was inked. I have left it to dry for a little bit, but I probably could do with leaving it for a little bit longer. So I'm using my powder tool with a little brush. This is the EK Success powder tool, and it's got a little brush at the top. So I'm using that to go around the foam pieces. Initially, I thought about using it on the background panel, but I bought my little bag out instead, which works a little bit better for something as big as that. Once I was happy that hopefully everything wouldn't kind of cling or stick to anything else, I got my little shaker pieces out, and these are just beautiful. And then I did bring in another little mix as well, which is these little iridescent stars, and these are tiny. And I think I've said before, but I don't like to overfill my shakers. I like to just put a fairly small amount on, I suppose, just because I like the fact that it moves a little bit better if you haven't got too much in there. And I think I don't know, I just kind of like the look of not having it overly full, and also because it kind of saves in the amount of shaker pieces that you're using, so you've got more for more cards. So that's what I like to do. I'm just peeling off all the tape. As I said before, I was having so much trouble. I was getting stuck to everything. Everything was sticking. I was really having a nightmare with my adhesive today. It just goes to show how sticky and strong this adhesive is, though. So once I got all the backing paper off and managed to unstick my fingers, I just stuck my background panel onto the shaker kind of front piece and made sure that was all nice and secure, and gave it a bit of a shake around because I can't resist, and everything's moving really, really nicely, and it looks so pretty. I'm so happy with that. Then it was just a case of attaching on all of my little pieces. So I'm starting with my sentiment, which is going to go directly into the center kind of panel. And I didn't pop anything else up on foam tape. It's already got foam tape on it to hold the shaker pieces up. So I'm not going to add any more foam tape. I'm just using my tape runner to adhere these, or I use my tape runner to adhere the sentiment down. And then I'm using my Lawn Fawn liquid glue to stick my little images down. And you do have to be a little bit careful about using liquid glue with the acetate, because it can go a little bit smeary. I think it was okay. The trickiest part of this was attaching those little puffy cloud frames on, because they're so fine. And I tried to do my best not to get glue everywhere. I think I did probably get a little bit of glue on it, but it was fine and it's not noticeable. And the glue does dry clear, so you can't really tell. So I just put my little chick in the bottom right-hand corner, and my little fox in the top left-hand corner. And I'm just going to attach those 3 little clouds on. I didn't actually show doing that. Off camera, I cut a card base at 5.5 by 4.25 from some of this kind of turquoise cardstock. I used one of the other sentiments from the Wishes Enclosed stamp set for the inside, and then the little bunny holding the balloon as well, just to add a little bit of fun to the inside of the card. And I'm just attaching that panel down onto the card base using some liquid glue. And that just gives me a little bit of wriggle time to make sure that I get everything nicely centered. And that's it, card done. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It's so fun, so colourful, and I just can't resist shaking it around. I hope you enjoyed this today. Please do let me know what you thought of it. I would love to hear from you. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and please do consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to see you come back again. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.